Hello everyone, thanks for joining me back here to delve into the notion of expat fantasia or beggar's belief. Which is it? Well, for me, this applies to expats that have one thing in mind. It's like a very illusionary thing before you retire and are actually able to travel outside the country and find a home. And for me, I thought, well, this would just be great. I wanted to live outside the country for a long time. And I traveled outside quite a bit and knew that I liked it and was getting kind of tired basically of the same old in the United States. It seemed like it was much better in the olden days, as they used to say. And of course, you get older and you change your desires and what you like and what you want and expect out of life. But for me, I retired 10 years earlier than I should have, and even before that, 10 years before that retirement date for me, I started dreaming and thinking what it would be like, just to finally get that pension check, direct deposit into my account, and then later get the Social Security and have that direct deposit into my account, and then I'd live wherever I wanted to, all over, anywhere in the world, and then those checks. I would just transfer money by phone or by computer, and have all any bills I had from running up credit cards overseas or on plane tickets, whatever. I would just simply have those put on an auto pay system, and they would pay off. So it sounded pretty straightforward and simple, and that was my illusion back then. Now those things are still very true, and that is the way to set it up, or a way to set it up when you retire. However, there is more to come, and once you retire and get all that stuff working for you, if you're fortunate to get a pension, which is getting rarer and rarer these days, but at least have some sort of income flow, you can leave and have it set up that way. Now, what I didn't expect, which is far from what I thought it was going to be like, when you're living overseas or trying to spend a lot of time overseas, seems like there's always things you need to come back for in the States. And I never really thought about each of those little things that would come up. So it's like you're drawn back to the States to take care of things. Now, for instance, with the pension, that would be a very simple thing. You think, well, you just get that forever, and then when you die eventually, it'll stop, and that's it. Well, that's not the whole story with the pension, because all pensions require that you report in once a year, and in my case, that time of the year is the end of the first week of March. So you don't have to physically report in, but you do have to be around to collect the mail. And if that mail that you receive gets shipped off to some foreign country and takes 6 weeks to get there, you may pass the deadline for when you have to report back with the documents signed and that need to be notarized. Well, so it gets a little complicated there, because you want to risk it getting lost in the mail to say the Philippines, where we're interested in right now. And if that happens, then what they'll do is, if you don't report back on time, they will cut off your pension. And yes, you can get the pension back and going again, but it's going to maybe take 2 or 3 months. And hopefully, that's not going to be a burden to you. And then it's going to be a hassle. You've got to go through a bunch of hoops to get that reinstated. So that's one thing. Another thing, even if you're receiving Social Security checks, you've got to inform Social Security of where you're going to be living, and in the same way, they'll mail forms and things to you that you may have to respond to, and especially if you have a child that's under the age of 18 and you're receiving a dependent benefit for that child. In that case, they send out a document every single year around June. And if you don't respond with the information they're requesting on that document, then they'll cut off that benefit. And yes, you can get it reinstated, but that'll take 2 or 3 months and a lot of headaches. and phone calls, overseas phone calls, while you're trying to get back in touch with Social Security to resolve that problem. So those are just two of the biggies. Well, actually, the third one is actually the income tax issues every year. Okay, those got to be done by about the 15th or 18th of April, but you've got to be around to collect the documents or have someone do it for you. And then if you have a brokerage account, a stock account like that, they don't send those documents out until much later than the required January 30th for all W-2s and other retirement or tax documents that have to be mailed out by January 30th. Well, brokerage houses for stocks and things, those don't get mailed out until much later. And that you could receive those as late as March, the first week of March. So then you've got to hang around, get those documents so you can finalize your taxes. And these are little things that we seriously have to get dealt with. And you can manage it. You can have somebody help you here in the States. But that's part of the beggar's belief. It's not all simplicity, like you might dream in your mirage of how fun and easy it's going to be, and it will be fun and easy, but you're going to have to go through some managing along the way to get that really simple. Another little thing that I keep a PO box here in the States, in Nevada, and if I don't pay my PO box renewal, they won't let you pay it early. They'll let you pay it online, but they won't let you pay it early. And if you don't pay it by the first week of January, and the bill doesn't come out till the 1st of January, so they don't give you much, or about the 1st, they don't give you much time to pay it. So if you don't pay it, they'll close your box after 30 days, and all your mail gets sent back to whoever it was coming from. So that's another thing that has to be managed, and in such a way, maybe get one of those other post office box mailing companies that help you forward your mail or hold it for you for longer periods of time, because the United States Post Office won't hold your mail in your post office box for over 30 days. Sometimes you get lucky and they'll leave it in there and forget, but they have a rule about that too. So that's another one I wasn't aware of that I'd have to deal with. It's a little thing, but it has to be dealt with. Also, if you keep a car, I keep a car in the States, and you have to have that car insured and registered. And even if you put it in a storage unit and not going to drive it, well, one of the things I found out is that there's a lot of storage units, companies, that require you to keep your vehicle registered and insured, and they want a proof that it's registered and insured. So otherwise they won't let you store it in their facility. I guess, I don't know why they require that. I think it has to do with stolen cars or something. I don't know. I really don't. But then there's other, they say it's some kind of a law, but it really isn't, because there's plenty of others I found that don't care if you register the vehicle or not. I mean, it could be just a stored vehicle up on jacks. But that's another thing I found out about. So I was very surprised and shocked about that one. You don't pay your insurance every 6 months like you're supposed to, you'll get a fine from the Department of Motor Vehicles for about $350 for not doing that. And that could get very expensive. So you have to be sure that you're paying your insurance on your vehicle that is registered, because its registration is required to put it in storage. So these are some tedious things that I've thought many times of just selling my car so I don't have to deal with that at all. But I like my car, and so I have to just deal with that. It's okay, but it's part of the beggar's belief. Let's see, then you've got your storage facility. You've got to make sure that's paid. And if you got your vehicle stored in the storage facility and you don't pay it, then they can auction off your car. And if your car has any value at all, it's going to be quite a very upsetting thing to have them sell your car while you're out of the States. Seems like an awful lot to I didn't think of much of any of these things 10 to 20 years ago while I was contemplating retirement, but they are things I pass along for everyone. You know, I would suggest making a list and keeping it somewhere that you can refer to it easily of all the things and what time of year that things need to be done, and figure out a way to manage as many of them as you can without having to return to the States. I haven't figured it out just yet how to do it, because you know, I had to. We had gone to the Philippines about a month and a half ago now, and we came back to manage some of this stuff, and we really had to. And I had to renew my passport as well. So that was a biggie. So it's another thing about your passports, you know, just keep in mind and remember, a lot of people do know this, but it's easy to forget that you've got to keep those passports renewed, and don't plan booking dates or travel dates 6 months prior to the expiration of that passport, because some countries won't let you travel in their country if your passport expires within 6 months. So that's something to just keep aware of, and at least check with that country to see if they have a rule or restriction about that. Sometimes just an onward ticket would be enough to rectify that problem. Well, that was a little talk today. I hope it was enlightening in some ways. Anyway, if it wasn't, I'm just glad you came to join me for a little talk. Have a beautiful day. Love you guys. Take care, and be well.
While my beef nilaga is simmering right now, I'm gonna take my Brianna to ride her bicycle outside because she wants to ride her bicycle. Right, Bria?
Yeah.
Yeah. Woo! What you gonna do with that rocks? Huh? What you gonna do with the rocks?
My bicycle.
You gonna throw that in the river? That's a good one.